at center with Nugent Hopkins and Hyman on his wings, and defensively Evan Bouchard and Matthias Ekholm on the back end. Connor Ingram, getting his second career start against the Leafs, will be in net for the Edmonton Oilers. Coventry reminding you, building their franchise, your home, one brick, laying the foundation at a time. The official builder of the Edmonton Oilers. The Toronto Maple Leafs only 3 points behind Edmonton in the standings. But here's where the East versus the West, and specifically the Pacific Division, matters. Edmonton with a win moves into first place tonight. Toronto with a win still will be 5 points out of a playoff spot with 25 games left to go. Craig Berube starts Anthony Stolarz, briefly an Oiler in net tonight, though he never played a game for Edmonton. Jake McCabe and Troy Stetcher, the Oiler at the beginning of this season, finished with the club last year as well. They'll be your starting defensive pair, although Carlo is McCabe's normal partner, while Stetcher plays with his old teammate back in Arizona, Oliver Ekman-Larsson. Austin Matthews centers the top line for Toronto. Bobby McMahon, the Alberta native, will be with Max Domi on the wings. So it's Edmonton 28-20-8 and Toronto 26-21-9. I'm Jack Michaels alongside Bob Stauffer with tonight's starting lineup, brought to you by Coventry Homes, and inside our Legacy Heating and Cooling broadcast booth. And Bob, with the Olympics a couple days away, some recognition on the Jumbotron of Team Canada and Team Germany. But here and now, this game feels like it's bigger for Toronto. But from an Edmonton perspective, considering the 19 goals against over the last 4 games, is there work to be done heading into the break, or do you feel the bulk of that work will come in the mini camp after the break?
I think there will be some subtle changes and tweaks to how Edmonton's going to play, and it's really going to start with a bit of a boot camp, but it will not involve Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, and Josh Szymanski. And what a difference, Jack. The year before you came here in 2010, they recognized the Olympians, and it was all the guys on the other team. And now, the Oilers only have 3 guys going, but 2 of them are 2 of the 5 best players in the world.
It's a good thing they didn't recognize them when Minnesota was in town. Otherwise, we would have had to delay this game by about 5 minutes, with the Wild having 9 players. We now pause for a moment of silence in the aftermath of the tragedy of Southern Alberta.
J.J. Wright, both 18 from Kamloops, British Columbia, along with 17-year-old Caden Fine from Birmingham, Alabama, tragically lost their lives in a motor vehicle accident on their way to practice. The Edmonton Oilers Hockey Club, along with its players and fans, mourn the loss of Cameron, JJ, and Caden. Our hearts are with their families, teammates, billet families, and everyone across the hockey community who is feeling the weight of this loss. Please stand if you're able and join us in a moment of silence as we honor the lives of these 3 young men. Thank you. And now, please join the singing voice of your Edmonton Oilers, Robert Clark, in the performance of the Canadian National Anthem.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true North, strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Now, tonight's exclusive NHL broadcast.
Shoots and scores! But now it's Draisaitl off to Connor McDavid for the hat trick. He scores!
All the action called by the voices who know the game inside and out.
This crowd explodes!
Bob Stauffer and Jack Michaels on the Oilers Radio Network.
Well, it's always a fun night inside Rogers Place when the Toronto Maple Leafs come to town. You've got warring chants. You've got a high degree of volume on both sides from both fan bases, but Toronto's had most of the fun. In fact, the Maple Leafs are second only to Florida in terms of a win-loss record in this building. They're 10-2-1. The Oilers looking to change that, and in doing so, sweep the season series tonight against a desperate Toronto club that's put 2 wins together after a 6-game losing streak that left them in dire straits as far as an Eastern Conference playoff spot. We're set to go alongside Bob Stauffer, and with Brendan Escott and Rob Brown behind me, it's McDavid and Matthews. We're underway. Toronto in the white and blue, Edmonton in the blue, orange, and white. And off the draw, the puck pops out of play. Toronto on the second of a back-to-back. It's the 4th time on this homestand the Oilers are getting a team that played in Calgary the night before. The Leafs beat the Flames last night 4-2, raced out to a 3-0 lead, and then hung on for the proverbial dear life. Got a couple of lucky bounces down the stretch. But it was their first road win in regulation in nearly 2 full months. They have struggled on the road this year, 10 wins in 25 games. McDavid charges in. Again, had a 3-point night in Toronto earlier this year. A breakout pass delivered to Bobby McMahon, who has 5 goals in the 5 games he's played against the Oilers. Matthias Ekholm swings over to try to play it up the left-hand side. That did not pan out. Wrestled free in front. Here's a jam by Domi and a save made by Connor Ingram. A glorious chance right off the hop for the Leafs, who also scored 35 seconds into last night's game. Here's a dish by Michelli up top. A drive from distance. A save made on Jake McCabe. And the rebound ends up on the right half boards. Played up top. And a hard shot taken by Stetcher, who scored last night for Toronto against Calgary. That one blockered out of play by Connor Ingram. But Edmonton, 2 chances against in the first minute, Bob. Not an auspicious start defensively for a club that, as we talked about, has given up 19 goals in the last 4, even as they've won 3 of those.
You're being kind because you could go back 5 and Pittsburgh put up 6, and I wasn't too happy that night. And that's a porous start for Edmonton. They had puck possession in their own zone, couldn't make a play, need to settle down.
There's up to Podkolzin up the left-hand side. I wanted to focus on that first 3-game winning streak of the season, but your point is well taken. Chipped up the right-hand side and out. The Oilers blasted by Minnesota 7-3 on Saturday, and that was a night where the Oilers put up 40 shots on net, but the grade A chances, I would say, were in favor of Minnesota.
Slightly in favor of Minnesota. I know that the expected goals for, depending upon which models you use, were relatively close. I didn't think that game was that close. The Oilers did hit 3 posts and crossbar, but Minnesota was better. Edmonton needs to dig in defensively here and improve how they're playing.
Actually, if you include the Washington game, Bob, you make a good point. It's 30 goals against in the last 6 games. That's 5 goals per game. Even I can do that math.
Well,
here's a
you
draw.
at least got your degree. I didn't.
And a lead pass for Draisaitl. That was deflected. But Colson will kick it back to Darnell Nurse. He and Wallman are a pairing tonight, second pair for Edmonton. The only lineup change, other than Ingram starting instead of Tristan Jarry as compared to Minnesota. Ooh, a big forecheck, one by Kapanen, leads to a terrific chance for Draisaitl. And Stolarz has to come up with the goods, and Draisaitl's frustrated. He didn't bury that, but that was created by Kasperi Kapanen. And you made a good point the other day, Bob, about Edmonton's record since Kapanen has been back in the lineup these last 2 times.
7-2-2, right? That's not bad. And that time it was Ekman Larsson, who's been terrific for the Leafs. There's some people believe he might get dangled. They'll probably be able to get a number 1 for him, I would think. Maybe a late number 1, but he got bodied off the puck on a heavy hit by Kapanen, who can't get in on the forecheck. Of course, Kapanen, a former Leaf that went to Toronto initially in the Phil Kessel trade back in July 1st of 2015.
Clean face-off, win for Lawton. Played up by Philip Myers up the right-hand side and out. Edmonton 4-3 on this 8-game homestand, the longest they've had since 1982. And a big difference between 5-3 and 4-on-4 in terms of the feel heading to Calgary tomorrow, which may be a tougher game than a lot of people anticipate. Flames had the Leafs on the ropes late in the game, but they're dead last in the league offensively for a reason, and a couple of pucks that were sitting on the goal line just didn't find their way home. Stastny in his own zone for the Oilers to Matt Savoy, and the Oilers bust out left to right. Roslovic will spill it in and change. That's handled by Stolers, and a leave for Oliver Ekman-Larsson. The roar you hear behind me is, again, the Go Leafs Go and Let's Go Oilers competing chants. Another solid forecheck, and the Oilers going to work. Mangiapane drawing in on the fourth line. Lazar takes a seat in the press box. Frederick and Janmark are Mangiapane's line mates, and you'll see a mix of Janmark and Frederick at center ice. Here's a turnover by Janmark and a great chance for Robertson. Good save by Ingram. The outlet is on target. Here's Mangiapane dishing off, shot, and getting it up on the heel of his stick. That one sailed well wide of its intended target, and that's been the kind of offensive campaign it's been for Trent Frederick as he's frustrated on that rush 3 minutes into a scoreless first.
Well, not a separation burst there from Mangiapane. The Oilers with two stone-cold giveaways down around their net. And I'd say Edmonton's lucky to have not given up one in the Leafs with a similar type of giveaway in their zone. And Leon frustrated that he didn't finish it off. Let's see if McDavid's line has a better second shift to this game.
Off the draw, Nurse to Wallman, Nugent Hopkins, McDavid, Hyman out there. Swung down low by Wallman. Nugent Hopkins in a losing cause. Edmonton did get a couple guys off the schneid, Roslovic and Nugent Hopkins. McDavid looking for Hyman. That pass off the skate for Nugent Hopkins. It was just his second goal in the last 18. And Roslovic had only scored in one of his previous 14 games. Here's a chance for Nurse. Hard to the net, short side, and a save made by Stolers. Rebound, Nurse flicks it into the corner for Nugent Hopkins. Stolers had a terrific year last season, but has struggled mightily this year. McMahon broke up a cycle, and here comes Matthews offensively. Dishing off, looking for Jake McCabe. It slid off the toe of his stick, and now McDavid the other way, left to right. With a head of steam over the line. Left circle, shooting, and that was blocked. And the rebound taken by Troy Stetcher. On William Nylander, who had a three-point night and was by far and away the best player in the game last night in Calgary. 2 primary assists and a goal. Draisaitl with a clear up to Podkolzin. Fished off his stick, and this will turn into an icing call whistled against Edmonton with 4:20 having elapsed in this first period. No score, and with the Leafs having to climb over several teams, Bob, safe to say Nylander has found it, but Matthews and Tavares and a few other guys are going to have to join him if Toronto's going to qualify for the postseason.
I mean, they go as Nylander goes. Let's not forget the Oilers' victory in Toronto. He was sick that night and basically didn't finish the game. He had no juice at all.
Yeah, we weren't sure he was going to play at all. He did start the game, but as Bob mentioned, did not finish it. 6-3 as Edmonton pulled ahead in the third period to close it out after leading 3-2 after 2. Off the draw, the Oilers don't get it out. Draisaitl's line is out there. Here's Michelli trying to feed the middle, intended for Tavares, but picked off by Draisaitl, the league's 5th leading scorer. He'll get it back as he comes over the line from Podkolzin. Dishes to Kapanen, one-timer Ekholm, and that slithered wide. Rebound out to Bouchard, right point. Oilers buzzing the offensive zone. Tavares pursuing Draisaitl. Here's Bouchard with a shot that's deflected high and out of play. Nearly 5 minutes gone in this first period. Toronto with 4 of the game's 5 shots on net. Evan Bouchard on yet another tear. Here's the comparison between Bouchard and Toronto's defense. Bouchard, as Bob mentioned in the pregame show, 12 points in his last 5 games. The Toronto defense as a collective has 11 points in their last 9 games.
Yeah, there you go. Bouch is good.
Tied for first in the league in scoring when it comes to defense with Zach Werenski. Another guy who gets overlooked, I think similar to Bouchard. Off the draw, Emberson. He's not getting overlooked that much this year, though.
He's going to be a finalist for the Norris Trophy. I'm not sure Bouchard will.
A steal and played up the right-hand side by Lawton, but not out. This is good work from Roslovic. Up top, Emberson takes a pass from Stassi. A shot redirected, and then Roslovic fired it over the net. That puck was bouncing. Emberson finished his hit hard on Stephen Lawrence, but the puck exits the zone, and then Lawrence comes back and thunders right into him. Here comes Roslovic back into the offensive zone for Josh Szymanski. Then a quick release by Roslovic off the left skate of Savoy. The ricochet comes into the corner. Lawrence can't get there. It's held in by Roslovic. Savoy has it punched off his stick by Benoit. Scott Lawton caromed it off the side of Lawrence, and Toronto will change on the fly as it's given to Wallman.
Oilers aren't getting shots through right now. They've had lots of opportunities around the net.
Just one shot credited on goal as Wallman flicks it back behind. Edmonton, Wallman, cross-ice pass, tipped, tugged away from Janmark. Good body position, and ultimately that's freed up for McCabe, but he didn't get it out. Brandon Carlo put him in an awkward spot, and now Nicholas Waugh will give it to Carlo one more time. Sent ahead, and streaking in is Nick Robertson to negate any sort of icing. A centering pass is on target, and Waugh was denied by Connor Ingram. I thought Waugh might have drawn a hooking penalty, but none forthcoming. They're letting him play early. Robertson back down low. Waugh, several productive years in Vegas, is a malleable type guy who has moved up and down in the Golden Knights lineup. It hasn't clicked for him in Toronto. Frederick, a beautiful pass and a save made by Stolers, who came out to challenge against Mangiapane. Kind of symbiotic of the years Frederick and Mangiapane have. A drive by Ekholm and a save through traffic made by Anthony Stolers, as getting in front of the net that time was Janmark. Mangiapane, an outstanding look, but Stolers pushed hard off the left skate and made the save. Mangiapane getting in a bit of a dust-up. He's trying to earn regular ice time down the stretch. We played 7 minutes. It's Edmonton-Toronto. The Oilers looking for the season sweep. There's no score in the hockey game. We're back with more first period play-by-play in just a moment. From downtown Edmonton on a balmy early February evening, the Oilers Radio Network. 13:09 left first period. The Edmonton Oilers looking to take over sole possession of first place in the Pacific Division with a win tonight on home ice against the Toronto Maple Leafs, who are desperate to string some wins together and are playing on the second of a back-to-back. Off the draw, McCabe overran, and then recovered and flipped it up the left-hand side for McMahon. Too far for Matthews, but he'll get there ahead of Nugent Hopkins and negate icing. Austin Matthews, 13 career goals against the Oilers, worked off the puck. He's actually won 13 of the 20 matchups against Edmonton, but since the first 6, the Oilers have at least played even with Toronto as they've split the last 14 meetings. But Toronto has the best record of the NHL against the Oilers in the last 10 years of any team. McDavid off the rush. He'll take a drop pass from Nugent Hopkins, but again, to Bob's point, unable to get that shot through. It's blocked, and the carom is handled by Max Domi. He'll go one-on-one against Jake Wallman. Domi reunited with Oliver Ekman-Larsson. They began their careers together with Arizona. Wallman breaks away from Domi and shovels it down the right-hand side. This may very well be icing, and there's the whistle with 12:01 to go in our first period.
You mentioned Toronto's record, but the fact of the matter is, Jack, since Austin Matthews has come in the league, the Leafs have got the third best record in the regular season in the NHL. So since the start of the 16-17 season. The Oilers are 12th during that time. Of course, 17, 18, 19, 20, they missed the playoffs.
Now do playoff wins.
It's not even close.
So, I mean, that's the thing. Yes, Toronto has put up some decent regular season numbers, but I think generally speaking, you wouldn't say Toronto has been the favorite in the regular season matchups. In over the line, a shot by Oliver Ekman-Larsson, and that missed glove side. Certainly you wouldn't think they'd go 10-2-1 at Rogers Place.
No.
Here's Nylander inside to Michelli, who flubbed a one-timer in the slot. He'll shovel it back to the point, Oliver Ekman-Larsson. Michelli used to be a pain for the Oilers to deal with when he was in Arizona. He's been in and out of the Toronto lineup. Nifty pass to Nylander, a shot, and that was fought off by Ingram as Nylander had Ingram going to his left, but Ingram was able to make the save. Draisaitl the other way, but his centering pass broken up and eventually grabbed by Michelli. He'll fork it over, looking for Nylander, who turns and twists it ahead for Ekman-Larsson. He'll try to protect the puck as Toronto makes a change on the fly. And Matthew Knies' forecheck creates a second look for Ekman-Larsson. Tried to go inside to Nick Waugh, and then up top, Benoit turned it over to Roslovic, and here come the Oilers. Draisaitl with Oliver Ekman-Larsson back. Gives it up for Nurse, a backhander on net, a save made by Stolers, and the rebound taken by Toronto. And Nicholas Waugh, he got blasted by Nurse. Popped right back up to his credit, gained the line, and tried to jam it in deep. Here's Nurse up the left-hand side. I have to admit, I'm a little bit surprised that it hasn't worked out for Waugh thus far in Toronto.
They can trade him. Teams like him.
Ty Emberson will get it back from Stastny. The puck partially deflected as he sends it in. Janmark in on the forecheck against Myers, but quickly cleared to Benoit. Toronto pushing hard left-hand side. Lawrence turned it over. Stastny up the right wing boards. Reaching for it is McCabe, and now pounded in the corner Lawton, but absorbing the hit was Mangiapane. So Janmark shovels it up top for Ekholm, and then a shot redirected from Bouchard, and a tough save made by Stolers. That, in many ways, the best save of the night, as Stolers was wrong-footed, but still got a piece of that deflection. Brandon Carlo off the dump-in, played 9 years in Boston, 85 playoff games, has never had as many as 20 points in a season, but he's what Toronto needed, a hard-nosed defender. Here's Domi trying to center, flipped out by Bouchard, held in by Carlo. Looking right side for Bobby McMahon, who eventually is able to close out in the corner. McMahon quietly with 18 goals on this team. And really, when you look at this team, I mean, he's got as many as Nylander. He's one behind Tavares. Austin Matthews, the leading goal scorer, 26. Here's McDavid busting loose. Drag move. And as he tried to go upstairs, he draws a penalty. It's going to be a late trip whistled against Toronto. McDavid never got the cleanest shot away against Anthony Stolers. But that lateral quickness as he carried it in from the right-hand side and then dragged it to the front of the net, he's able to get a tripping call against Oliver Ekman-Larsson, the 16-year veteran. And when we come back, the Oilers will be on an Atco power play. We've played 11 minutes. There's no score. It's Edmonton, Toronto, Ford Dealers NHL, the Oilers Radio Network. First power play of the game belongs to Edmonton, and this is strength on strength. While Toronto's power play has fallen off a cliff, Edmonton at 31%, tops in the league. The Leafs' penalty kill is 5th. And they don't face a lot of power play opportunities. Toronto neither draws nor takes penalties. Off the draw, circles outside the line. Here's Draisaitl curling it back to McDavid, out wide to his left, and then missing as he tried to go top right corner against Stolers. That hit the glass and held in by Hyman. Around to McDavid, who has 10 power play goals. Tried to center, that was blocked away. He'll use a screen from Draisaitl. Load up top of the right circle, Bouchard, who elects to pass on the shot, gives it up to Draisaitl to the net, backdoor, and that was off the post. What a chance for Hyman. He had Stolers down and out and rung the bar. Here's Nugent-Hopkins in front, deflected off a couple of skates, fought for, and ultimately controlled and cleared by Lawrence.
2 point-blank looks in this game. One for Draisaitl and one for Hyman for Edmonton.
And I'm pretty sure that drew iron. Here's Draisaitl in from the right-hand side. Beautiful pass for McDavid. Tried to give it up, and that pass handcuffed Hyman. I think he thought McDavid might use the pads as a pass. Here's McDavid returning it to the point. Bouchard lunging, did not hold the zone. It crawls outside with 46 seconds left in this Atco power play. Atco, your trusted Alberta retailer. The Oilers, Kids and Oils Country, mega 50-50. Well, the jackpot is already over, $1.8 million. And so you can win a suite for 12, a 2-night stay at the Pine Bungalow Chalet in Jasper, and $10,000 cash with some of those early bird tickets. So get online as this face-off will come outside the zone. Draisaitl hitting McDavid. He'll charge in, top of the right circle. 3 Leafs collapse on him. Hyman kept it alive. Now McCabe looks to reverse, but Hyman won't let him escape. Brandon Carlo got it off the stick, and then Draisaitl turned it over. It's 2-on-1. Lawrence ahead for Lawton. Lawton right circle, shoots and missed high glove badly. And that'll come off the boards and sent up ice by Nugent Hopkins. The top unit will peel off on a change, and it matters not because there's only 5 seconds left in the power play. Benoit hangs on, then releases the puck with 2 seconds to go, and that enables Toronto to get a change and a reset 5-on-5. Ekholm on the ice for the Oilers. Hits Kapanen, streaking in right-hand side. The former Leaf had a 20-goal season in Toronto, a career year. Wallman down low in the corner. Gets it back from Podkolzin. Over to Nurse. His shot tipped. Wide Roslovic on his backhand. He'll give it up for Podkolzin. Up top, Wallman. His shot saved. Stolarz doesn't know where the rebound is. In the blue paint, still available. And tugged out of there by Max Domi. Stolarz could not reel that rebound in, but Domi an alert play. Up to Matthews. Tried a snapshot, and that was blocked by Wallman. Matthews less than a point per game. It's been a quiet year for him. McMahon to Nylander. Up top, Stetcher. Goes back to Matthews, and the pass eluded him. A lot of speculation that Matthews is playing at far less than 100%. Here's Kapanen. Once considered part of that core with Matthews and Marner. Nylander swings and shoots, and that was a blocker save made. Nylander draws it back really far, and then he snapped it off the blocker of Connor Ingram, and as he watches it sail out of play, we'll take you to a break. 5:50 to go in the first period. The shots are 7-6 Leafs, and none have gotten by the goaltenders. No score in the hockey game. First period action continues in just a moment. It's Ford Dealers NHL Hockey, the Leafs and the Oilers on the Oilers Radio Network. 0-0 Toronto and Edmonton. Leafs on the second of a back-to-back. They're 3-4-1. They've got 19 wins in their last 26 with Edmonton. But it's started to even up in recent years. And the Oilers, having won 6-3 back in December, looking to sweep the season series and take over first place in the Pacific over idle Vegas, who's dropped 5 in a row, and Bruce Cassidy's not happy. Emberson will give it up for Draisaitl. Beautiful spinning backhand pass. Stastny down the slot, had his pocket picked. Is that Nylander? And then the Stastny shot eventually deflected up and out of play. And Bob, the one thing with Stastny is sometimes it takes him a little extra to get that shot off, and Nylander almost made him pay.
You think a guy that would skate with that sort of explosiveness, I mean, he was a converted forward, as you know, and but the instincts are not there offensively. It's a great defensive play by Nylander. You got to give him credit, didn't quit on the play, but that puck's got to be the net. The Oilers have had 4 or 5 opportunities in the high slot where they haven't even gotten shots on goal.
Shots are split at 7 apiece. And a face-off win for Matthews. That's lofted up in the air by Carlo. Bounces at center, eventually corralled by Nugent Hopkins. Up the left-hand side, Hyman sealed off by Carlo. Curiously enough, coming into tonight, Hyman had played exactly 345 games for both clubs. This is game number 346 with Edmonton. Of course, he's got 166 goals with the Oilers after 86 in Toronto. Quick dish from McCabe to McMahon. Angled one off the boards. Brushed by Ekholm up the left-hand side. Nice play by McDavid. He's got Hyman and hits him in stride. Hyman right wing. An ill-advised drop pass for Bouchard. It was behind him, and all Bouchard could do was kind of knife it down low. Easily cleared by Carlo, and the Oilers must regroup at center. Bouchard will knock it down, walk it in himself. He'll swing it to Wallman. A shot and a save made by Stolarz. Square to the shooter. He'll put it away. 4:20 to go in the first period. No score in the hockey game between Edmonton and Toronto.
So the Leafs are a different team. When they don't have Nylander, they're a slow team. But because
Mitch Marner left for Vegas.
Right, and there's a couple numbers that prove it, and one of them is they've given up the most shots against per game this year in the NHL.
And they've struggled with Morgan Riley in the lineup. Now, he's hurt.
Yeah.
He'll miss the last 3 games heading into the break, but without him, Toronto's been excellent over the last couple of years, curiously enough. Matthew Nyes spun around at center. Leafs also minus Christopher Tanev, who's out with a very similar groin injury that Matthias Ekholm endured. In fact, for advice on it, through Troy Stetcher, there was actually a phone call that took place between Tanev and Ekholm to get some advice on rehabbing that injury, as we've got an icing call against Edmonton. And once again, Mangiapane stirring the pot a little bit with Trent Frederick. And Mangiapane's desperate for any kind of traction, Bob. He started the first 39 games. He's been scratched for 9 of the previous 17.
And it is believed that at one time this offseason that maybe Mangiapane was a little bit on the radar screen for the Maple Leafs. Of course, Brad Treliving had him in Calgary the year on the 3rd line, where he scored 35 goals.
There's a lot of talk involving Mangiapane and McMahon. Is there any truth to it, Bob? Because you would have heard that talk.
Lots would have to happen to make that happen.
Face-off coming to Ingram's left-hand side. And off the draw, won by Frederick. Here's Wallman in the clutches of Nyes. Nick Robertson coming off the right half boards. Moved it in front. Intercepted by Janmark. And he'll dump it in. That's going to be gloved by Stolarz. And he didn't like where Mangiapane was. And then when Mangiapane put the brakes on and made contact with Stolarz, the Leafs finally have had enough. Stolarz gave him a shot. And then coming in with some blows exchanged, Ekman Larsson, who's not usually that guy, but as Bob mentioned, his rediscovery of his offensive game has led to him being more involved, just generally speaking. And he was the man who kind of wrestled Mangiapane out of there. And I think we're going to have coincidentals here at 16:24 of the first period with no score in the hockey game. At least I thought we were going to have coincidentals.
Well, it better be more than one player. I mean, the guy got punched twice.
So Mangiapane came in, and Stolarz just, he didn't really make a lot of contact, but the Leafs have had enough of Mangiapane, and this is what made him an effective player at times in Calgary, in addition to his goal scoring. There it is. They'll even it up, and Ekman Larsson will sit in the box. Stolarz really roughed him more than Ekman Larsson did, but either way, we'll saw it off, and the 3.5 to go in the first period. Who knows, Bob? Maybe the 4-on-4 breaks it open for Edmonton
or Toronto.
Well,
one of these teams wants to get going here offensively. We're going to see best on best.
I think minus Mitch Marner, Toronto's not as effective 4-on-4 or 3-on-3.
I just want to know how Stolarz and Larsson gets 4 shots in.
Yeah, that's interesting from Ekman Larsson. Not typically a guy you'd associate with that kind of stuff.
He's had a good season, boy.
He has. Matthews and Nylander out there.
2 years left in his deal at $3.5 million. There'd be teams lined up to trade for him. They decide to go that route.
McDavid and Draisaitl. So you've got 3 of the top 4 goal scorers on the ice at the same time right now over the last 5 years. The only interloper is David Pastrnak. Draisaitl was wrestled down. That was Bob's groan. McCabe up top for Carlo. He'll shoot and a glove save. Ingram had a clean look at it. He wanted to spoon it over to McDavid, but instead the puck frozen with 3:14 to play.
That's the 4th time in this period the Oilers have had puck possession behind their goal where the Leafs came away with possession. And that is a sign. You wonder whether or not are there enough compete drills in practice when you're losing battles like that. Of course, the Oilers had a very favorable schedule the last 3 weeks, actually had some real practice time.
Draisaitl digs in against Austin Matthews, who wins the faceoff. Now Stetcher fires a hard pass across to McCabe. Here's Matthews. Backing off, gives it up for William Nylander. In turn to Stetcher. His shot blocked. Stetcher has been a revelation in Toronto. Gotten a ton of ice time. Coming over to cut off an advancement was Nylander. Then Bouchard forced it back into the Toronto zone. So with all that explosive talent on the ice, really didn't have a scoring chance.
Edmonton couldn't get the puck.
Stetcher to Benoit. He'll chip it in for Toronto with 2.5 to go in the period. Ingram put it up on that glass, and it worked out perfectly. Right to Nugent Hopkins. In over the line. Nugent Hopkins cuts to his left, then fanned on the shot and clubbed one over the net. It just would not sit for him. And Tavares comes up with a rebound for Toronto ahead for McMahon, who conservatively decides to kick it back to Brandon Carlo. That was an odd choice from Bobby McMahon, who's from Wainwright, Alberta, and played Junior A for the Bonneville Pontiacs. Max Domi building speed through the neutral zone, right to left for the Leafs. Toronto in the white, Edmonton in the blue. Stetcher, one touch to Domi. He'll turn and give it up. McCabe across. Domi, centering pass intended for Lawton, broken up. Oilers lost possession. McCabe, a hard pass into the feet, held in by Stetcher, dished right-hand side and kept alive for the moment by Philip Myers. Now Stetcher catches a tough pass that was behind him, almost ran into Mangiapane out of the box, and he did. Mangiapane the steal. Edmonton kept it onside, but Mangiapane ran into his own man. Here comes Toronto. Nylander burrowing his way inside, and Ekholm just erased him. Excellent play by Matthias Ekholm.
Oilers got to get moving their feet here, Jack.
They dump it into the Toronto zone. Matthews will take an outlet from Myers. Mangiapane forced a turnover, drives the net. Mangiapane flipped one wide as Matthews back-checking from behind altered that shot. But still, Mangiapane has had an active first period. You can tell he's desperate to make an impression, as if to say, you're not taking me out tomorrow against Calgary. Forced in by Nylander, picked off by Bouchard. Final minute, first period, no score in the hockey game. Here's Bouchard from Ekholm. In from the right-hand side. Centering pass, a snapshot over the net. Draisaitl on a hard collision with Bouchard, who seems none the worse for wear. Lawton hits center ice, jams it in. Wallman over to Bouchard, up the right-hand side. Draisaitl looks to avoid traffic in the form of Nicholas Waugh, chipped in by Kapanen. Back to get it, Stetcher. Kapanen blasts it. Boy, he has been effective, but Colson won a battle, but the centering pass is not handled by Nurse, and Edmonton has to fall back to center. Looks like we're destined for a scoreless first, but Wallman turns it over. Lawton looking for one last chance as his pass intercepted by Draisaitl, and indeed the horn will sound. We've played 20 minutes and settled nothing. No score in the hockey game. The shots officially 9-8 for Edmonton, and Bob, that shot clock could be closer to 14 or 15, but the Oilers had some trouble, especially in the early going, getting shots through.
I mean, Toronto blocked a lot of shots, but the Oilers, to me, were not sharp. They had some looks, they had some opportunities, did not capitalize on them. Frankly, expect a little bit more juice from the Oilers in the first period.
So no score, Edmonton and Toronto. This is the final game of an 8-game homestand for the Oilers. Still looking for the icebreaker tonight. No score in the hockey game through 20 minutes of play. Jack Michaels, Bob Stauffer with you back in our Legacy Heating and Cooling broadcast booth. Your Oilers 50-50 at $1.92 million and rising, in support of every kid deserves a shot, removing barriers to sports and inspiring kids through the power of hockey. Here we go, McDavid and Matthews to start the second period. Shots were 9-8. Edmonton in the first. A dump in, and Ingram again aggressively plays it up the right-hand side. That crawled outside the line, and thus an offside call whistled against Toronto. No score in this hockey game, and the reason I bring that up, Bob, is on Saturday, that was just Edmonton's second loss all year in regulation when they get the first goal, whereas Toronto, it makes the least amount of difference of any team in the league. Their record is marginally better when they get the first goal, but it's not nearly as important as it is for Edmonton. Here's a chance. Matthews in off the rush, and it came out into the slot, and McMahon had a short shot that was kicked out by Ingram, who's been sneaky good tonight for Edmonton. McDavid capitalizing off a miscue from McCabe. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins on his backhand hit the outside of the net. Tried to go short side with it. Hyman to McDavid in front. Mid-air swat by Nugent-Hopkins. Shrugged off by Stolarz. The rebound available and taken by Wallman. That was some hand-eye. And then Wallman had it stolen by McMahon. Breakaway, left to right, over the line, denied. Connor Ingram holding strong. Centering pass, and Domi whistles one over the glove hand. Wallman had it stolen by McMahon, but he can't finish. And again, he's had some good games against Edmonton.
Your last man back like Jake Wallman, you got to make a play there. Make the easier play. Tried to make the tough one.
Michelli to Nylander, shoveled toward Darnell Nurse, knocked down and right to Kapanen and over to Wallman. Remember, you can do a hand pass in your own zone. Here's Nurse. One touch on to Leon Draisaitl left wing. McMahon stopped on a breakaway by Ingram, and then Draisaitl almost gave it away to Michelli for an other way rush. Stastny back to corral the puck in his own zone, and here comes Edmonton right to left. Draisaitl building speed through the neutral zone, hits the line and got through a check from Stetcher. Cut off by Ekman-Larsson down low, and now centering pass. Kapanen could not drag it to his forehand. If he's a left-handed shot, he has a much better chance to convert. Stastny to Emberson, quick up and on target for Kapanen. Now Vasily Podkolzin puts the brakes on, centers for Kapanen to the net, denied by Stolarz. Kapanen eager to score against the team that, of course, drafted him, Pittsburgh drafted him, but he broke in with Toronto. Then he went back to Pittsburgh after a time. Nylander backhanded in deep. Didn't stick in Pittsburgh, claimed by the Oilers off of waivers from St. Louis. And when healthy, he's been very good here in Edmonton. Josh Szymanski driving it in for the Oilers from the neutral zone. Taken and played out by Benoit. Nick Waugh bounced it to center. Bouchard to Ekholm, who slaps it in. Around the boards, Nyes tried to usher it outside the zone, held in by Roslovic. Weakly to the high slot and taken away by Nick Robertson, the brother of Jason Robertson, left off the U.S. Olympic team. Edmonton wanted icing against the Leafs, didn't get the call. Szymanski did not get it out initially. He continues to work. He'll be heading to the Olympics with Leon Draisaitl as his German teammate. Hitting the line is Roslovic coming the other way for Matt Savoy. Tried to shovel one in front. That was deflected. Calle Jarnkrok can't clear. Drive by Wallman on net, and Stolarz makes the save. Rebound Janmark for the Oilers. Mangiapane comes over to help. After a good first period, you heard Bob talk about it. Mangiapane feeds the point. Nurse a shot. Save Stolarz. Rebound Lawrence. Right side for Jarnkrok. From center ice, he'll hit the line. Here's Lawton. Wrist shot. Fought off by Ingram. The Go Leafs Go chant goes up. Now a Let's Go Oilers counter chant arises as Mangiapane takes a block shot, moves it quickly for Nurse on his backhand. Tried to tuck it in front. That was broken up. Short side. Stolarz gave it a look. Eventually emerging with puck possession. Matthews turned it over. Quick shot to save. And again, Mangiapane was involved, but he was stopped by Stolarz. Toronto breaking out. Matthews that time with a giveaway. And again, created by Mangiapane, who's played a good game tonight. Ekman-Larsson will shoot it in for Toronto. A highly motivated player. Ingram didn't get enough on that clear. Domi tries to center. That's deflected. And now you've got Frederick up through center, going down in a heap, and apparently shaken up was McDavid. Did he get high stick? Drop past Domi. He'll drop it off. Open man, and then an extra pass made by McMahon looking for Matthews was broken up. Matthews was all alone sitting side door.
That was Carlo that got a big piece of McDavid. Let's keep an eye on that.
Lead pass. Well, Carlo will answer the bell up the right-hand side. Centering pass and a quick shot in front. What an opportunity for Nugent-Hopkins. Steered aside by Stolarz. Rebound to center, taken by McDavid. Drop pass. Nugent-Hopkins wired it. Rebound banked in off of Stolarz and just stayed out. Banked right in front by McDavid, who almost had Stolarz backing into his own net. An attempted poke check by Stolarz. Freed up for Bouchard by McDavid. Slap pass in front. Unable to get a tip on it was Hyman. And now we're going to have a fight. And Nurse is going to have Brandon Carlo answer the bell. Top of the circle in the Toronto zone. Overhand right Nurse. A pair of 25s going at it. Uppercut Nurse. Right hand Darnell Nurse. Glancing uppercut. Carlo thunder thunders back with a couple of right hands. A right hook, an uppercut from Nurse. Nurse another uppercut, eats a right hand, and then nails Carlo with a hard right hand as they tumble to the ice. Darnell Nurse went after Brandon Carlo and caught him with a big right hand late in the fight.
Well, I'll give Carlo credit for taking the fight. He had been out there probably an extra 25 to 30 seconds when the Oilers made the change.
Brandon Carlo from Colorado Springs, Darnell Nurse from Hamilton.
And as you know, the Oilers, had they held the second-round pick, remember they traded the 16 and the 33 to the New York Islanders. I believe Edmonton was taking, Craig Matavich said yesterday they were taking Joel Eriksson Ek at 16. I believe Carlo was going to be their pick in the second round that year. And he went second round to Boston, a couple picks after that.
Nurse with good strategy in that fight as Carlo kept that chin tucked. So Nurse came up with the uppercut, and then right at the end of the fight tagged him with a pretty good right hand. Carlo, for the most part, not a lot of offense, although he threw some right hooks that landed in glancing fashion. And then Nurse's last right hand appeared to get through fairly cleanly. Got him with a right uppercut and a straight right near the end of the fight.
You got to love the response from Darnell Nurse stepping up for Connor McDavid there.
Draisaitl against Scott Laughton. And Carlo was ready for it. He knew he'd be answering the bell. A clear by the Leafs off the draw. Nylander to Jarnkrok. Drag move. His shot completely stuffed by Ekholm. Now Podkolzin looking for Ekholm. Swinging at the puck and then backhanding it off the body of Troy Stecher. Up the right-hand side. Stolen by Podkolzin. Left for Ekholm. Trying to clear was Jarnkrok. Swept around the boards. Hard hit on Stecher. And that allows Edmonton to maintain offensive zone possession. Here's Bouchard. Hard to the net. Protecting on his backhand. Gives it up for Ekholm. Then played to Draisaitl. Cross. Bouchard a shot. And Stolarz was square to the shooter and issued no rebound. Podkolzin late setting a screen in front as he was entangled with Scott Laughton. Nearly 6 minutes gone. Second period. The Oilers and the Leafs. No score at Rogers Place.
And the Oilers have created some looks here off of ozone cycles against Toronto. Of course, the Carlo trade has become much maligned in Leaf Nation, and part of it stems from the fact that Fraser Minton was the reigning Rookie of the Month. And they traded a lottery-protected first-rounder to Boston in that trade. Ouch.
Coming up the left-hand side, Matthew Nyes from the circle. Flicks a wrist shot wide. Swept around up the right-hand side for Roslovic. Cut off at center by Nicholas Wall. Tries to find a wide-open Nick Robertson, but his pass was off the mark. Robertson then checked by Wallman against the corner boards as Toronto looks to go to work on the cycle in the offensive zone. A battle won by Robertson. A drive by Myers does not make its way through. Rebound Roslovic leaves it for Emberson. 13:30 to go in the second period. Still no score in this hockey game. Shots 15-13 Oilers. Robertson, a dart on target. Unable to get it in deep, though, Matthew Nyes. Quickly cleared up through center. Stecher fell down, bumped it ahead from Machelli. A wrist shot blocked away by Ingram, and that was a good-looking wrist shot. Here's Mangiapane the other way for Edmonton. Poked off his stick, and here's Nylander. And then Edmonton caught in a change. Nylander left circle, loads and shoots, save, rebound, and somehow that stayed out. Ingram might have gotten a piece of Machelli's rebound after staring down. Nylander now a deflected puck in front, and Toronto's taken a 1-0 lead. A perfect high slot tip by Matias Machelli, who had had a couple of good looks previously, and it's 1-0 for Toronto. Machelli has scored on back-to-back nights. His ninth comes at 7:12 of the second.
Oilers had the puck inside the blue line, and unfortunately for Edmonton, Mangiapane got stripped. They started the transition back. Edmonton made an absolutely abysmal line change. And
what a tip on Machelli.
It was a good tip, but turn the puck over. Edmonton had the puck back behind their goal. Fifth time in this game they turned the puck over, and that was the difference.
McCabe let the shot fly, and Michelli, who was deep in the right circle and not necessarily on the path to the net, was able to redirect that to his right and through Connor Ingram, his former teammate, of course, in Arizona. Up the right-hand side, churning the legs. Cross-ice pass, Frederick to Janmark. Draisaitl to the net, denied by Stolarz. Rebound, flip just wide. Janmark and Stastny with a look at Stolarz. Frederick to Draisaitl, checked by Benoit. Behind the net, under control and shoveled up top by Frederick. Stastny takes a shot. That bounds off the boards. Draisaitl to Frederick, a snapshot blockered away by Stolarz. Rebound punched back to center. And now McMahon trying to fight through a check from Emberson. He does. A backhander short side. A save made by Ingram. Bobby McMahon, another determined effort in his home province. 8 minutes gone. Second period. And Toronto was taking a 1-0 lead. The tip in by Matias Michelli. And boy, does he somehow find a way to bug Edmonton whenever he's in the lineup. You and I always thought he was a good player when he played for the Coyotes, who always seemed to show up against the Oilers on some bad Coyote teams. Edmonton dump in. McCabe under control for Toronto, emerging from his own zone left to right. Flipped in by Lawrence. Lawton and Yarncroke in on the forecheck. Waved at. Nugent-Hopkins could not get it out. Here's Lawton, a quick shot and a save by Ingram. Boy, that came loose in the slot. And Ingram, a reactionary stop. And again, what I would call a sneaky good save, because that bid from Lawton seemingly coming out of nowhere. Toronto has drawn first blood. It's 1-0. Michelli from McCabe at 7:12 of the second period. And we got a potential situation where Janmark is just going to get a little equipment from Darnell Nurse, who continues to sit in the box after his spirited tilt with Brandon Carlo. 1-0, second period. Toronto the lead. This is Ford Dealers NHL Hockey, the Oilers Radio Network. Matias Michelli with a tip in of a Jake McCabe shot from the point. And the Edmonton Oilers have fallen behind 1-0 here at Rogers Place. Now, the good news is 2 of Edmonton's 6 wins this year, when they don't get the first goal, have come on this homestand. So they've had some recent success. But the bad news is they've been first goal dependent. And Michelli now with 5 career goals against Edmonton in only 10 games. And trust me, he is not a 40-goal pace guy. He's a good player, but he's not that. Career high 17. Nick Wall off the face-off. Robertson entangled. Emberson forces it up for Josh Szymanski, and now Matt Savoy right wing into the attacking zone. Ekman Larsson fell down. Robertson with a secondary layer of support, and Philip Myers with possession of the puck for Toronto. Nick Wall calmly lofts it out to that kickoff glass. They're saying it did. Edmonton trying to sell a potential delay of game call. The Oilers have had the one power play. And again, we talked about it. In a game involving Toronto, don't expect a lot of power plays. The Leafs haven't gotten a power play in 3 of their last 4 games. But they don't get called for many either.
I don't think Edmonton's power play has been as good on this homestand either.
No, 4 for 24 in their last 9 games. Well, that's 16% for them. That's a slump.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, those are similar numbers that have happened in the last 2 Stanley Cup Finals, where their power play wasn't good enough against Florida.
Max Domi up to Stetcher, left-hand side. McCabe. A little change of pace against Emberson does not work. Draisaitl drops over. Couldn't make a play. Now Wallman ducks out of danger. Gets it back from Podkolzin. And the Oilers look to bust out. Here's Emberson hitting the line. Draisaitl trying to plow his way through McMahon. Cross ice, Wallman. Shot wide. Rebound. Draisaitl on his backhand. Checked by Matthews. Brushed off his stick. He'll regain. Draisaitl protecting, forcing it down low. Podkolzin circling the Toronto net. Oilers looking to get this game tied. They trail 1-0, and we're just about halfway through the hockey game. Draisaitl snap pass tipped away by Matthews. Rebound in the corner. Left by Wallman behind the net. McCabe up the left-hand side. McMahon a couple of chances to get it out the second time he does. Then a steal on Kapanen. Allows Stetcher to move it up. McMahon couldn't handle the pass, and it slugged the other way for Ekholm. McDavid on to Podkolzin, but rolling over with a late change. Stetcher able to clear back to center ice for Toronto. Leafs looking for their third straight win. On this road trip, they've beaten Vancouver in a shootout and Calgary 4-2 last night in regulation. Hyman is shot deep from the left circle, and that's tipped out of play with 9:28 to go in the second period. Nurse and Carlo are now eligible to return. We'll take a break and come back with more second period play-by-play. It's Toronto 1, Edmonton no score. This is Ford Dealers NHL Hockey, the Oilers Radio Network. 12 mark of the second period. Bob, moving forward, Oilers' last 29 minutes. What do you see? What do you want to see most improve?
Less defensive zone turnovers. Don't feed the Toronto attack. Get pucks in. And you got to be...
You're not going to say get pucks in deep. You're not allowed to say that.
I'm going to say when you get in the offensive zone, get the puck to the net. And too many one-and-dones in front of the net. No competitiveness. Fighting for time and space.
Nylander against Nugent-Hopkins. Cleared up Tavares, and now Nylander. And backhanded in by Michelli. The difference in the game. And he didn't even play. He was a healthy scratch in the prior matchup between Toronto and Edmonton back in December. Pinching in left-hand side is Hyman off an Oiler dump in. Tavares had it stolen by Nugent-Hopkins. Here's a second chance for Hyman. Got through Carlo loose in front. Comes out to Bouchard. Dishes off one-timer to sprawling Stolarz. Makes the save on Connor McDavid, who set up in Leon Draisaitl's office. And Stolarz somehow able to push off that right skate and make a lunging stop.
That was a good stop from Stolarz. The only question I have is, was it going wide? And I think Bouchard, it was not going wide, but I think Bouchard's got to shoot it.
Top left corner. I thought that was top left corner for a guy who's obviously been blistering, sitting on 15 goals and 60 points for the year.
Yeah, just keep shooting, Evan.
And it's interesting, we're talking about, well, you'd rather have Bouchard shoot it than McDavid, who, of course, leads the team in a second in the NHL with 34 goals. But on that particular opportunity from the slot, looked like a clean look. Here's a drive by Wallman that beats Stolarz. He never saw it. Posted in, and Edmonton's tied it.
Did you see it?
Wallman, an absolute blast. Back bar and down. And this game is tied. I don't think the players on the ice saw it.
I almost thought it went in through the side of the net initially. I'm like...
Off the draw, played back. And a drive that just buried itself in the back of the net. Just an absolute... And it looked like it was deflected. Szymanski and Roslovic were setting screens in front of Anthony Stolarz.
Well, that was a howitzer, and that's what Wallman can do for him. He can shoot the pill.
No, it skipped off Stolarz, the top of his left pad, I believe. And skipped off that pad and went upstairs. Tie game. I think it's going to be Wallman's goal, which would be his fifth. Here's a turnover, a backhander score. And Matthew Nyes, just 9 seconds after Edmonton had tied the game, regains the lead for Toronto. Nicholas Waugh made the steal. Matthew Nyes buries it. 2-1 Leafs.
Just brutal communication. Connor Ingram's got to make a better play at the puck. He put it to no man's land there to Darnell Nurse. Tough pickup.
Nyes with his 14th from Nicholas Waugh. And the Edmonton fortune lasts all of 9 seconds.
Just brutal. Self-induced mistake from the Oilers.
Wallman scores 9 seconds later. Turnover. And it's fed in front. A drive from distance off the draw once again by Wallman is kicked aside by by goaltender Anthony Stolarz. Now Roslovic, having made a steal deep in the corner, tried to center. That pass was intercepted. Nick Robertson on his backhand attempts to clear, knocked down and held in by Darnell Nurse. Benoit wrapped up. Josh Szymanski will get a second NHL assist. Nifty dangle by Kapanen as he tried to draw to his backhand. Kapanen is another guy that stuck out for me in this game for Edmonton. Stastny, open man Nurse, left point shot, booted aside by Stolarz. Rebound Kapanen, sharp angle. That deflected off a multitude of skates and finally flipped wide. Janmark able to come with it down low. Here's Frederick, wraparound effort, saves Stolarz. Right now, Edmonton all over the Leafs. Unable to clear was Myers. Held in by a combination of Emberson and Stastny, who returns behind the net. Lots of room, waiting, centering, and that was deflected and finally hoisted down the middle of the ice. Good clear by Myers. No icing call. Emberson a strike, trying to catch the Leafs in a change. A giveaway by Benoit. Here's Draisaitl with Podkolzin running to the front of the net. Draisaitl shooting, missed. Short side. Rebound Podkolzin. Toronto's exhausted. Podkolzin to Draisaitl. Stolarz would love to freeze this puck if he can. Ekholm will give it up. Podkolzin to Bouchard. One-timer Draisaitl on a block shot. And Benoit's hurt. He'll labor to get up as Draisaitl. Send it fishtailing around the end boards to Podkolzin. 6.5 to go in the second period. Draisaitl centering pass. Blocked by Benoit. Rebound to Podkolzin. Hard off of Stolarz. Off the glass and down the ice. Toronto will rush to get a change. Edmonton again tries to catch the Leafs in it, but Draisaitl couldn't handle the lead pass. Steal by Bouchard. Draisaitl again against Stetcher. Quick shot, saves Stolarz. Rebound in Toronto's skates and finally flipped out of there by Austin Matthews, poised as can be. Bouchard at center ice for McDavid. Open man. Hyman gives it up. One-timer and belted wide by Nugent-Hopkins. Great zone keep by Bouchard. Down low and twisted by Stetcher up the boards for Ekholm. He'll turn and give it up for Bouchard. In the middle of the ice, not handled by Nugent-Hopkins and iced by Toronto with 5:47 to go. This is Edmonton's best sequence of the game. The last 3 or 4 minutes, consistent pressure. Toronto, for now, able to withstand it.
Oilers got to hit the net. They've had lots of grade A opportunities here.
Face off to the right of Anthony Stolarz, who's been peppered. 2 goals in 9 seconds. Edmonton tying it, and then Nyes untying it. Leafs, Stetcher. Golfed it out of there off the draw. Toronto forces it inside the Edmonton line, and now the Leafs are finally able to complete a full change. Wallman to McDavid. He turned it over. Given right back, though, at center ice by Michelli. Oilers force it in. McDavid forechecking. Turned up by Matthews. Here's Michelli. He can fly. Left-hand side, McCabe. Nurse rolls over with coverage. Puck played back behind the net. Nylander cut off by Wallman. Nurse gives it back to Wallman. 2-1 Toronto. 5 minutes to play second period. Here come the Oilers right to left. Nugent-Hopkins has it knocked down by Stetcher out of midair. Stetcher plays it off the glass, and Nurse will have to regroup at center. Edmonton's got to tag back up and change. Nurse turned it over at center. Just flubbed it. Here's a quick dish by Tavares, who's been a non-factor. He gave it away. Sent in deep. Savoy, plenty of speed. Catches up to it. Tried to center. Deflected. Stolarz has no idea where it was. It actually sneaked 5-hole on him and came to rest on the goal line. And Tavares made sure it went no further. 4:39 to go in the second period. The Leafs with some good luck the other night in Calgary. Once again, Stolarz bailed out with help from his veteran center iceman, John Tavares. 2-1 for the Leafs. Matthew Nyes the go-ahead goal. Jake Wallman, the only man to beat Anthony Stolarz tonight. It's 2-1 Toronto, and this is Ford Dealers NHL Hockey, the Oilers Radio Network. 2-1 hockey game in favor of Toronto. 4.5 to go, second period. Bob Stauffer to my right as we're live on 880 Chat and the Oilers Radio Network. Front end of a back-to-back. Oilers will be in Calgary tomorrow night as the puck inadvertently off the draw, laid off the glass and out of play by Mattias Ekholm. All 3 goals in this second period after a scoreless first, including 2 in 9 seconds. Machelia tip in, Wallman beats Stolarz from the point, and then Matthew Nyes 9 seconds later took advantage of an Ingram turnover and took a pass from Nicholas Waugh and buried it to give Toronto a 2-1 lead. Here's Ekholm down low. Leafs on the second of a back-to-back tonight. Oilers will be looking at the same fate tomorrow. Lead pass on target. Played by Lawton up the right-hand side. Settled by Ekholm. Will shovel it back in. Deflected. Stolarz hastily moves it over. And Ekman-Larsson finds an off-balance Troy Stecher. Now Lawton, little give and go. The return pass is stolen by Draisaitl. Snatched back by Lawton. Centering pass on a one-timer. Crushed off the pad of Ingram by Robertson. Settled by McCabe after an Edmonton dump-in. Once more, the Leafs turned aside at the Edmonton line. Robertson, top of the right circle. Off a deflected skate. Challenges Szymanski, gives it up. Carlo, an awkward pass behind Max Domi and intercepted by Bouchard. He'll locate Mattias Ekholm, and now it's a reload for Edmonton as once again the crowd rises in unison.
Too many giveaways tonight from Edmonton.
That game's an 8 o'clock game, by the way, tomorrow, Bob.
Yeah.
So get your caffeine going.
Oh, like that's a problem.
Up the left-hand side. Here's Emerson. Taken away by Carlo. And now recovered by McMahon. Neutral zone. Whiffed on by Myers. He tried to atone for that and brushed it free for McMahon. Wedged back in by Domi, and the Leafs go to work in the offensive zone with 2:45 to play in the second period. 2-1 for the Leafs. Myers got caught in a pinch against Savoy, then was able to reel it in against Connor McDavid. Oilers wanted a potential stick infraction there. There's just been one power play in the entire game. Edmonton failed to cash in. Great fight between Nurse and Carlo earlier as well. Lead pass right-hand side. Big hit on Hyman at the echo of a whistle. That's actually a clean play by Benoit. The whistle sounded and Benoit was already there. That's a late whistle. That's more the officials than Benoit in my estimation. At least that's how I saw it. An offside whistled against Edmonton as Hyman was in prematurely. I think the officials put Hyman in a tough spot there. That was a late whistle.
I'd have Trent Frederick replace Hyman here with Benoit still on the ice.
You disagree with me?
No, I got no problem. It's a hard, tough hit. Protect your players. I guess you can't.
Well, and Nurse did.
Yep.
Nurse definitely did, and Carlo answered the bell.
But the Oilers need, you know what, Wallman, that was an important goal for him. Matthews has got an issue with his left skate here. Edmonton's probably had 12 or 13 defensive zone giveaways. Both Leafs goals, direct result of poor puck play, a bad line change, and then poor puck play from the Oilers in their D zone. And then Ingram just giving away a goal after Edmonton tied it. Edmonton's best sequence was after that Ingram giveaway. They outplayed the Leafs significantly for the next 4 to 5 minutes, but have nothing to show for it. Oilers bang it in deep. Janmark out there with Frederick and Draisaitl. Here's Janmark in close quarters. That's a hook that they did not
Matthews able to jab it off the stick. Here's Draisaitl against Tavares. Feeds the point. Drive Wallman, saves Stolarz. Rebound kept alive by Janmark. Put it off the half wall for Draisaitl. A little spin move. Beat Austin Matthews to the net. Centering pass broken up. Leafs can't get it out. Wallman controlling up top. Nurse directs a pass. And now Frederick looked for a give and go with Draisaitl. Janmark setting a net front screen. Here's an opening for Nurse. A shot off an ankle in front and iced by Toronto's William Nylander. 1:28 to go in the second period, and now you've got an opportunity to maybe load up everybody here. Here comes Ekholm and Bouchard. How are the Oilers going to play this here? Nugent Hopkins is out. with McDavid and Hyman. So they're just going to go with a regular top line. Draisaitl had been out for the prior shift. Still a good opportunity for Edmonton against a tired Toronto fivesome. McDavid against Tavares. Face off to the right of Anthony Stolarz, who's made 26 saves. Looking to even his career record against Edmonton at 2-2. A clear by Matthews, and now a lead pass. Nylander sets Tavares loose, a shot, and he missed. Tried to beat him high blocker. McDavid to Ekholm. Hyman is at the line. Ekholm drops it off Nugent Hopkins, and then he looked for Hyman. Cross ice. That was broken up. Tavares will skate to the red line and dump it in with a minute to play in the second period. Ingram allows it to come inside the trapezoid. Rolled it up the right-hand side. McDavid booted it loose. Hyman stole it from Robertson, and now McDavid will challenge Jake McCabe. He plows into him. Hyman had it stripped. And now Nyes able to clear. Nicholas Waugh tried to thread it through. Batted down by Bouchard, who has tremendous hand-eye. Nicholas Waugh dumps it in. Stastny up the right-hand side. Draisaitl on his backhand. In stride for Nugent Hopkins. He'll stroke it in from the red line with 25 seconds to play in the period. Myers got away with a shaky pass to McCabe. Returned to him. Myers is a right-handed player and whistled it, just hammered it off the boards inexplicably. And that's another icing call against Toronto. And Robertson and Knives are bent over at the knees. Edmonton, if it so chooses, can load up, but it looks like... What are we going to have here? For the final 15 seconds, you've got Draisaitl, Podkolzin, and Kapanen, so they're just playing it straight up here. Face off to the right of Stolarz. Toronto just trying to survive the final 15 seconds here. They're a bit gassed. Waugh against Draisaitl. And Waugh is able to win the face-off. Myers, again, will ice the puck. Not quite sure what he's doing. 8 seconds to go. I mean, both plays, Bob, he was not under pressure and just fired it down the ice.
He's got a lot of confidence in the face-off circle here.
I guess. I mean, do you agree?
Yes.
Those are strange plays because he's got lots of time. Here's Nicholas Waugh against Draisaitl this time. 7.7 officially. Second period, Leafs 2, Oilers 1. Wallman the only Edmonton goal. Draisaitl won the draw. Kapanen couldn't get a shot away. Nick Waugh will clear. 3 seconds. Matthew Nyes in front, and Robertson had it roll off the toe of his stick. That was there. If he catches up to that puck cleanly, Toronto's going to have a last-second look at the horn. As it is, Edmonton, despite 18 shots in that second period, falls behind by a score of 2-1. Shots were 18-13 in the middle frame, 27-21 for the game in favor of the Oilers, but the miscue by Ingram leads to Matthew Nyes' go-ahead goal, his 14th of the year, and by that margin, Toronto will take a 2-1 lead into the dressing room. The good news for the Oilers is they have 5 wins. That's the second most working for you at the other end. Not for lack of opportunity, as Bob mentioned, Stolarz has 30 saves. That's a good one from Ingram. His 20th of the night.
Remember the year Domi had 28 goals and 72 points for the Canadians.
Easily his best. He's dropped off to 9 and 8 goals the last couple of years. Looks like he'll hit double digits with 9 entering this game. Matthews. A face-off against Roslovic, who won it cleanly. Here's Spencer Stastny up the left-hand side. Podkolzin will chip and chase against Ekman-Larsson. Around the boards, Nugent Hopkins up top. So this alignment tells me it's going to be McDavid, Draisaitl, and Hyman next over the boards. Here's Podkolzin rolling around Matthews. Drop pass, Kapanen down the slot, shoots and scores. And you could feel that coming all night from Kasperi Kapanen. He's been around it, and this time he puts one underneath the bar to tie the game at 2.
Well, Kasperi Kapanen is playing for a contract, Jack, and I got news for you. I personally, and just his overall performance all year, Edmonton's got a boost out of him when he's been in the lineup. What an elite-level finish from a Finnish player who has twice scored 20 in his career and looked like it there.
Kasperi Kapanen with his fourth set up by Podkolzin went right through Domi, and just the seas parted. He went right down Main Street off a beautiful reverse feed from Podkolzin, who had Matthews tracking him, and drew Matthews away from the middle of the ice. Kapanen buries it. He's got 4 goals in the 18 games he's played this year. 2 separate injuries shortening his season, but he's tied the game at 2.
Well, he ended someone's season last year, as you know.
Kapanen will dump it in. Emerson dumps it in, and Jake McCabe brings it the other way. No offside. McCabe eventually has it flicked away, held in by Lawrence down the right-hand side. Bob, we've got to get a translator to get those exclamations, what they actually mean. I don't know.
It's all those bad habits I learned with Cam Moon.
I was going to say.
Don't worry.
Here comes Draisaitl, dishing off to McDavid. Beautiful move at the line through Nylander. Emerson got the second assist, by the way, on Kapanen's game-tying goal. Draisaitl, deep right corner for Edmonton, now looking to take the lead. And they've got McDavid, Draisaitl, and Hyman on there. Bouchard shovels it down low. McDavid plowing through, and now dishing off to Bouchard. A whistling wrist shot and a save made by Stolers, who stared Bouchard down. That was a good chance again in the slot. Toronto's coverage starting to get leaky, indicative of what Bob reminded us all. This is the second of a back-to-back. Are the Leafs running out of steam? Tavares shovels ahead. Toronto 3-4-1 in the second of back-to-backs this year. 26-21-9 overall. They need this game desperately. 6 minutes gone by in the third period. Edmonton has drawn even for a second time tonight. Flashed in by Savoy. Still on a line with Szymanski and Roslovic. Directed up to Nicholas Waugh. He got checked by Wallman off the puck. Center ice, Roslovic gives it up for Szymanski, played back. Roslovic in his own zone. Nurse, reverse pivot. He'll take it behind his own net. Edmonton attacking from left to right in period 3. Wallman has the feet pumping. A drive and a save. Do we have interference at the line? We do.
He didn't even see it.
This is going to be Toronto's first power play of the entire hockey game. And we've got Nurse in there roughing up Matthew Nyes. But I believe when we come back, Toronto will have an opportunity to regain the lead. The Leafs' power play has fallen by more than 7% this year. They'll look for a timely goal here in the third period, with a game even once again. The equalizer, Kasperi Kapanen, and it's Edmonton 2, Toronto 2, with Ford Dealers NHL Hockey. The Oilers Radio Network. This interference penalty puts Toronto on its first power play of the game, and now the Leafs, who've struggled all year long on the power play, they're 25th in the league. And again, testament to how much Mitch Marner meant to this club.
Well, the Oilers are only 19th in the penalty kill, and they've been sliding here in this homestand.
6 power play goals against for Edmonton in the last 4. We've got Tavares against Draisaitl, face off to the right side of Connor Ingram. Game tied at 2. Edmonton has not led all night. Draisaitl will take the draw. No Curtis Lazar in the lineup tonight. Draisaitl has not really been taking draws at all on the PK lately. He'll take one here.
Can't remember the last time I saw him on the PK.
That's what I mean. With Lazar out of the lineup, that's the one hole you create. And then a miscommunication between Nyes and Matthews, taken away by Janmark. But what do we have?
High stick on Janmark.
I thought it might have been a hold on Matthews. Janmark clipped him, and now Toronto will get a 5-on-3 for basically a full 2 minutes, minute 54.
What did I tell you about his stick work? Okay? I mean, you just handed them a goal here.
The stick got up, no doubter. I initially thought Matthews might have been guilty for a hook because Janmark actually had him beat to the inside. But now a 5-on-3. Now we're coming out of the TV timeout. Otherwise, Craig Berube would be wise to think about a timeout
just think
here.
of the 2 penalties Edmonton just took. Like, things are happening tonight in a game where you lose that type of game.
It's tied at 2 for now.
Yeah, gotta have a
Tavares.
huge kill.
Nylander and Nyes with Matthews and Ekman-Larsson. Nugent Hopkins will take the draw. He's out there with Ekholm and Bouchard. Face-off controlled by Toronto. Ekman-Larsson and Matthews will set the table up top. No one on Toronto's roster has more than 4 power play goals this year. Ekman-Larsson, Matthews, Nylander, left circle. Ekman-Larsson gets it back from Matthews. Nylander, still no shot. Ekman-Larsson takes it. Save made. Might have been a block off of Ekholm. Here's Nylander, top of the left circle. Matthews rotates up top, takes the pass, gives it back to Nylander, deflected away by Nugent Hopkins. Nylander under control. Tavares to Matthews, loading up. Tavares, Nylander, left face-off done. One-timer Tavares and a save made by goaltender Connor Ingram. Matthews on the rebound, fights through a check, in front, tipped, save. Stolars watching as a save by Ingram and then a deflection as Nylander put it in front and Tavares tips it home. 5-on-3 power play goal for Toronto. And still, you've got a minute 2 of power play time remaining with the Leafs now up 3-2. Jonathan Tavares, his 20th. He has reached 20 goals for a 16th time in 17 years. Tavares from Nylander.
Do you remember in Vegas the sequence where in 23
turned a 2-1 lead into a 4-2 deficit,
and it was Janmark on a 5-on-3 call?
Nyes and Nylander with the helpers. Power play goal, 5-on-3 variety, and again, nothing like a 5-on-3 to revive a struggling power play.
Yeah, but you handed it to him.
Ekman-Larsson. I didn't like the initial call.
I don't like the initial call either.
Michelli, the high stick is a no-doubter, but you're right. Just like that situation, you didn't love the first call against Vegas, and the second was a no-doubter.
Yep.
Here's Max Domi. Deep left corner. Ekman-Larsson up top. Max Domi. Cross ice. One-timer score. Back-to-back power play goals. And Toronto takes a 4-2 lead. Matias Michelli with his second of the night, 10th of the year. And 2 power play goals have staked Toronto to a 4-2 lead at Rogers Place.
The Oilers were all over them 5-on-5, and they're going to lose this game because of an iffy call against the Oilers' Matt Savoy. When Troy Stetcher, he went to acting school, he sold it, and then Janmark, an undisciplined stick. And it's a 4-2 Leafs lead here.
Ekman-Larsson and Domi with the helpers. 2 power play goals in a span of 31 seconds, and it must be stated, Bob, just what you were talking about the PK, which is brought to you by Nap Auto Parts. That's 8 goals allowed in the last 5 games.
It's not good enough, and it needs to be reevaluated here during the break. Not good enough.
Face-off won by Matthews, spilled in by Scott Lott. Edmonton down 2, but this is again an area where the Oilers have excelled on this homestand, trailing late in games. Hyman, a backhander right on cue from the right circle. That pinballed wide. Rebound Matthews. And now you wonder whether 5-on-5, Toronto has enough juice to finish this game.
Well, the Oilers need to be flopping every time they get touched here.
Ekholm to Draisaitl.
Officials owe them a call.
Puck at center. Ekholm taking his time. Was Toronto's first 2 power plays of the game. Ekholm will send it in deep. Stolars, but again, Toronto neither takes nor earns many power plays, and Stolars almost backed one into his own net. Lawton up the right-hand side, and eventually Nicholas Waugh is able to muscle it back through center. Emberson over to Bouchard. 10:45 to play in the hockey game. Toronto 4, Edmonton 2. Pair of power play goals in 31 seconds. A dump in. Stoller sent it into the corner. Szymanski tried to go to Savoy. That cycle disrupted. Lawrence couldn't get it clear. Toronto pinned. Lawrence a second opportunity, and he's able to wedge it successfully down the ice. Nyes with forechecking pressure on Stastny and Emberson. Right-hand side, Szymanski plows his way into the offensive zone, then forced back the other way by Tavares. Is that enough to draw icing? I believe it was. With 10:10 to go in the third period. It's Loud, obviously, with a competing chance of go, Leafs go, and let's go Oilers. And now, off the icing call, Edmonton will bring Nugent-Hopkins out with Podkolzin and Kapanen, and they accounted for the equalizer 5-on-5. Keep in mind, earlier in this third period. Still 10 minutes to go. And Toronto, a propensity for blowing third period leads. 8 this season. And that's tied for second most in the league. Nylander up to Michelli off the draw. Michelli, who has a pair tonight, and now 6 goals in 10 career games against Edmonton. Philip Myers. We talked about that early, Bob. Always liked Matias Michelli, and that's because he's excelled against Edmonton. He shows up. He was scratched the last time Bob and I were in Toronto back in December. Oilers won at 6-3. Here's Podkolzin, who had 2 goals in that game. Hard to the hole with a backhander, and that's caught near the left hip by Anthony Stollers to keep Toronto out in front at 4-2. 9:26 remains. Third period. A pair of power play goals. Tavares' 20th. Michelli's second of the night, 10th of the year. And it's the Leafs by a deuce at Rogers Place with 4 dealers NHL hockey. The Oilers Radio Network. Toronto 33-25 tonight. But on special teams, the Leafs are 2 for 2 on the power play. The Oilers have failed to score on their only opportunity. Interesting, coming out of the extended TV timeout, Roslovic out there between Frederick and Savoy. Nurse and Wallman, the D pairing. Face off to the left of Stoller. Scott Lawton and Roslovic grapple for puck possession off the draw, and the Leafs will turn it up ice. McMahon chipping and charging behind the Edmonton defense. Nurse protects, turns it over. Sharp angle shot by Lawton. Caught the outside of the goal, and here comes Nurse. Jitterbugging his way through neutral. Shoots wide of Stollers, who takes a gander. Nurse himself will keep it alive for Trent Frederick. Had it pried loose by Troy Stetcher. Advanced up the right-hand side, and the Leafs make sure to get it inside the Edmonton line as we go inside 9 minutes remaining here in the third period. Does Edmonton have another third period comeback in the offing? Shot off the rush, Roslovic. Rebound off of Stoller's pads. Lawton took a lot of time moving it up the right-hand side, but did get it out. Chipped off the boards, awkward bounce, shoveled ahead to McDavid by Ekholm. McDavid does not have a point tonight, and the Oilers haven't won any of the 9 games where he hasn't had a point this season. Brandon Carlo up to center, he'll shoot it in. Bouchard. McDavid, the league's leading scorer, 95 points, second in goals with 34. Draisaitl at center takes an outlet from Ekholm. Left to right, makes a move around McMahon. Carlo stays with him. Ekholm walking the line with 8 minutes to play, and off balance, kept it alive off of McDavid's stick and swatted to the half wall where Toronto will have time to clear. Here's Matthews through center. Turned it over at the line. McMahon steps up. Drops it for Domi. His shot tipped wide by Matthews. Wrapping up Domi is Hyman in the corner. Breaking away from traffic is Matthias Ekholm. Ingram calls out instructions. Ekholm wheels it up the right-hand side for McDavid. On him is Benoit. Rebound to Draisaitl off a deflection. And now you've got Kapanen. Off to Bouchard at drive, and that was blocked, and a painful one by Robertson. Down low, good anticipation by Benoit, and eventually dumped out. A big hit by Kapanen sent McMahon flying. Robertson pressure up ice meanwhile. Here's Emberson. Kapanen floats one deep into the offensive zone. Retrieved by Matthew Nyes. And on to Nicholas Waugh from center ice. He'll make certain to get it in deep. 7 minutes to play. Edmonton still trailing by a score of 4-2. Puck comes free to Kapanen. His third period goal tied it briefly. 2 power play tallies by Toronto. 5-on-3 and then 5-on-4 back-to-back have changed the complexion of this game. Waugh to Robertson. Lays it off the glass and out. Darnell Nurse at center. Nugent Hopkins backhands it up to Kapanen. Too far. Ekman Larsson steers over. Stetcher. Nylander boots it but not out. And now we had a puck play with a high stick with 6:24 remaining in the third period. Face-off will be to the right of the Toronto net. Jack and Bob with you live in our Legacy Heating and Cooling broadcast booth. Your 50-50 jackpot in support of Every Kid Deserves a Shot is now over $2.2 million. So now the Oilers buy some time, and they're going to bring out Szymanski, Mangiapane, and Janmark for an offensive zone draw to the right of the Toronto goal. Tavares will take it for the Leafs. His tip-in put Toronto in front. Szymanski cleaned him up in the circle. Nurse's shot. That was tipped wide by Carlo. Time for Nylander. Locates Jake McCabe. Thrown on net. Brushed to the corner by Ingram. Tavares had it stripped. And here comes Szymanski. Front end of a back-to-back for Edmonton. Back end of a back-to-back for the Leafs, who desperately need this win as they look for 3 in a row in a bid to climb back into the Eastern Conference playoff picture. Nylander crossing. Carlo pumps it up the middle to Lawton. Tavares tried to nudge it in deep. Janmark will reset for Edmonton. The Oilers, meanwhile, with Vegas idle, had a chance to take sole possession of first place with a victory in the Pacific, but they're now 5.5 minutes away from having to settle for a 4-4 homestand. Wallman and Draisaitl, after a brief miscommunication, Draisaitl cut off at center, and then Domi, who was tracking with McDavid, is able to play it ahead for Matthews, who gets it in deep. Now the Oilers bust out. McDavid on to Draisaitl. Back to McDavid with some space. In front, Hyman to Bouchard. Now McDavid cutting, shooting, off a skate. Leafs with a chance to clear, didn't get it done. Kept alive by Bouchard. McDavid beat Matthews. One-timer, Draisaitl save. Stolarz. Rebound trickling, and the Leafs get it out. What a save on Leon Draisaitl by Stolarz. He stopped McDavid from a similar spot back in the second period, and that might have been the game saver for Toronto with 4.5 to play.
Great stop.
Lawton to Benoit. They rule that Yarncroke got a piece. And now Lawrence cuts it off on the left half boards for Toronto. Looking up ice is Emberson. He'll hoist it high in the air. A bouncing puck. Mowing his way through Carlo was Frederick, his old teammate in Boston. But now a steal by Savoy at center after a Toronto clear. Recovered by the Leafs. Calling for the puck is McCabe. 4 minutes to play. Toronto 4, Edmonton 2. Lawton waved at and tipped by Yarncroke, so Ingram has to move it swiftly to Ty Emberson. And now we start keeping an eye on the Edmonton net. The other night against San Jose, down 2. Knobloch pulled his goaltender with 4 minutes left. Here's Nugent Hopkins at center ice. He'll fling it in deep. For now, Ingram remains entrenched. Ekman Larsson up the right-hand side. Matthew Nyes will skate it out. And a backhand lob will chase Wallman back. Nylander bearing down on him as he drops it for Darnell Nurse. 3.5 to go. Edmonton coming up ice. Nurse, a giveaway at center. And Waugh will punch it back in. Toronto will change. Wallman allowing an Edmonton change to take place. Here comes Draisaitl and McDavid. who tries to beat Lawton up ice. Draisaitl takes it to center. To the bench is Connor Ingram. 6-on-5. The Oilers once again down 2 in the closing minutes. Can they do it again? McDavid cross ice. Draisaitl one touch to McDavid. Lost the handle briefly. Unable to clear was Lawton. Here's Ekholm for Bouchard. Draisaitl snapped it just wide. Clattered off the boards. Ekholm will maintain. 2:45 to play. Leafs 4, Oilers 2. Ekholm, McDavid, cross ice. Toronto, good read. Shot, bullseye. McMahon puts it away with an empty netter. Toronto 5, Edmonton 2. That's a good read on the cross-seamer from McDavid to Draisaitl.
Yep. But you said it about 2 minutes earlier, the save by Stolarz off of
secured victory against Draisaitl.
Against Draisaitl. You win with special teams and goaltending. The Leafs power plays 2 for 2 in this game, and their goalie was better. As good as Connor Ingram was early when the Oilers were just egregious in turning pucks over, Stolarz has had a real good start tonight for the Leafs, and they're back. They're going to be feeling good about themselves after this trip. And for Edmonton, they need to look in the mirror. 4 out of 8 is not acceptable at home.
And it could have been 2 out of 8. They needed late magic against Washington and San Jose. I mean, really, they're not far removed from a 2-6 homestand. So at some point, the urgency needs to creep in. Off the neutral zone faceoff. Toronto with the puck. Stetcher gets it back from Nylander, and the Leafs will kill some clock here. Mangiapane out there with Frederick and Janmark. Swept in by Nicholas Waugh. 2 minutes to play. Edmonton tied it with 15 and a half minutes to go. And then back-to-back penalties. One on Savoy, one on Janmark. Toronto converted the 5-on-3 and then made it difficult by getting the 5-on-4 as well. 2 power play goals.
That flipped the game.
In a span of 31 seconds.
If you're an Oilers partisan, you're saying it was a ref show in that sequence. Troy Stetcher with a great job acting.
By the way, Matthews, who had a quiet night otherwise, he had the read on the cross-seam pass, so he'll get an empty net assist on the McMahon goal. Bobby McMahon now 1 goal shy of back-to-back 20-goal campaigns. Here's Nick Robertson off a lead pass from Nicholas Waugh. 1 minute, 10 seconds to play. The Leafs will gain a split of the season series. A wrist shot sent wide. And they'll now be 11-2-1 as that puck kicked off the glass and out of play. 11-2-1 at Rogers Place.
Yeah, well, they just wait for Edmonton to make mistakes. What do we got going on here?
Waugh and Frederick.
Of course, Waugh cross-checked Frederick in the face last year in Game 5 of the Vegas series that Kapanen put the end on Vegas' season. Waugh got a 5-minute major, and I know that Frederick asked him to go in the last game. Waugh didn't take him up on that.
64 seconds remain. And do we have coincidentals here?
Might just be on Frederick. It's tough to win games when you have an .815 save percentage, Jack. And the
4 goals on 26 shots.
And now 5, obviously.
I mean, the 5-on-3, right. Tavares is a tap-in. I mean, and
it was.
And they also made a good play on the Michelli goal.
Well, the Oilers got to go back to school on their penalty kill because it's been stinking the entire homestand.
Off the draw, punch to Josh Szymanski with 1 minute remaining in the hockey game. It was coincidentals. We're skating 5-on-5. Frederick and Waugh are gone. And now the Leafs off an Edmonton dump in. Come up with a puck. Benoit ducking behind his own net is Philip Myers. And the Leafs are going to win both ends of a back-to-back in Alberta. And Edmonton now has to go to Calgary. And remember, the Oilers have lost 2 of the 3 with the Flames this year. You might think, all right, well, Calgary sinking like a stone with 6 losses in their last 7, 11 in their previous 15. But in the Battle of Alberta, in my experience, Bob, the wins don't come easy. usually.
Calgary's a good home team, Jack. Calgary's 14-10-4 at home.
Oilers had been outstanding on the road, coming in 9-3-1 in their last 13 and 9-2-2 against Canadian teams. But those trends come to an end tonight, and the Leafs have won 3 in a row. They had gone 2 months without a win in regulation on the road. Now they get him in successive nights. One last face-off and taking it behind his own net is Myers, and that will do it. Your final score, Toronto 5, Edmonton 2. The Leafs score the final 3 goals of the game, and the 2 power play tallies in 31 seconds midway through the third are the difference. Toronto now 27-21-9, 5 points out of an Eastern Conference playoff spot, and the Edmonton Oilers and the Vegas Golden Knights continue to struggle at the top of the Pacific Division as Edmonton misses an opportunity to take over sole possession of first place in the division. They'll remain in a tie with the Knights, who've lost 5 in a row.